This one comes from Adam. Adam asked, how do you stay positive when there's a lot of negativity around you? Which I think goes hand in hand with this idea of frustration, but it also really connects to this idea of culture, like how we create culture, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Any thoughts about that one?
You know, this is a big one. So I'm gonna try to answer this from the different experiences that I've had, and I'm interested, of course, as Sarah, I'm interested to see what you have to say too. So one of my favorite authors, Brene Brown, she just released this book called Braving the Wilderness. It was awesome, of course, as you know.
Yes.
I know you're a fan too. So she talks about this idea that sometimes people like to substitute like authentic relationships around hot wiring negative associations.
Yeah.
So she's saying this idea that we get together around people and things we hate is not really a true relationship. So for me, the first thing to do when you're trying to stay positive around negativity is not to succumb to the negativity, right? So don't start building alliances around a terrible teacher or a difficult student. Like resist the attraction of building and hot wiring those type of friendships.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the first thing. The second thing too is we have to remember our why. Like the reason why we're there again is for the kids. And know that sometimes as adults we think about what other adults are doing and saying, and there's a lot of hurt. There's professional hurt that happens in every school and in every school system, and that's real. I've experienced it. Painful. But the reason why we're there is for the children. I try to ask my teachers, we have 90-minute block periods. I say, your only goal, like regardless of what else is happening, what somebody hurt you, or if you feel professionally disrespected, is have you made every kid 90 minutes better?
Yeah.
Like, and if you've done that, like how that's really the measurement of success for a day. So you have to redefine your measuring stick as to what's successful. So the first thing is to resist hot wiring relationships around negativity, which can be very alluring, right? Then the second, I mean, because it's easy to do. It's a hot wire connection.
Part of the club, right?
Right.
I mean, because who doesn't want to be part of the club?
Everybody wants to be in.
Yeah, and it's an easy one to get membership to. All you have to do is complain.
Exactly, and everybody likes to do it.
Yeah.
But you can't be the one. And the thing is, what will happen is people will start not coming to you with that, and you'll feel a little isolated. You have to choose. This is another Brene Brown quote. You have to choose discomfort over resentment. Because what I don't like about myself, now I'll be honest with myself, in the past, when I have said negative comments, I don't like what I'm hearing, and I think about it later. I'm like, man, I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
Because I don't, when you participate in negativity, you actually sap your own energy for productivity. And so other things that I try to do is I try to remember different quotes, as I just mentioned a couple, of course, lean on my faith, but then I try to look for positive people.
Yeah.
I try to look for positive people. I like to actually go to positive classrooms. When I know kids are doing well, I like to slide in and co-teach and just help kids. Just last week, I did there was a kid that had a really bad attitude and he was sent out of class. And I didn't know his story, but we were reading the great book, the great short story, Charles by Shirley Jackson. So, so I sat down and read it with him and we just discovered things together. Just that alone, that experience one-on-one with the kid and the purity of learning returns so much positivity to me.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's so much, so much wisdom in what you're saying, kind of about the allure of the toxic relationships, being able to find our why. And I think absolutely when you need a shot of positivity, you go find the kids.
Yeah.
Right? You go, and that is where the why lives, right? The why lives in the interactions with kids.
Yeah.
But I think there's some things that sometimes we have to do in order to make space for that, right?
Okay. Okay.
So I think one of the things we have to do is kind of quiet the noise. That's what I call it. I just call it quiet the noise. You got to turn down the volume on that stuff because it is there. It's not going away. In fact, when somebody just kind of wrote in the comments, Amber, she said, it's definitely hard to stay positive sometimes when the parents are against you, the students are against you, and the administration is against you or works against you. And that's a really real, feeling. And I think when that is the overriding feeling, we have to figure out how to turn that volume down long enough to hear your own why again, right?
Very true. Very true.
So we gotta quiet that noise. And I know that sounds simplistic when, I'm listening to or reading what Amber wrote and I'm thinking,
tough.
I'm gonna jump through and hug her here, but
right. Now, Sarah, one thing I heard with Amber's quote, it reminded me of a quote that I heard from this guy named Lecrae. He's a rapper, and he said, "When the entire crowd is against you, like everybody, turn around and lead them."
That's beautiful.
And again, it's this idea that we have to start looking at our frustration and opposition as leverage and not as impediments.
Right. Absolutely. I love that. Leverage, not impediment. And we're going to get a little announcement here because I'm at parent-teacher conferences. So here we go.
That's real.
This is real. So the second thing I would say,
I love it.
It is. The second thing I would say is that you have to put yourself in the way of goodness.
That's
right.
Good.
So you have to go seek it out. You cannot wait for it to come to you. You have to say, I am going to go put myself in the way of some positive thing. You have to go find it yourself. And I think that on one hand, it sounds like, well, we have to do more on top of everything else we're doing, but I actually don't see it that way. I see it as an act of empowerment, right? I see it as an act of control in a situation when you feel out of control. This is one thing you can do. Go put yourself in that classroom. Go find that teacher who is not toxic, who is going to, have a good human conversation with you.
Right.
Whatever it takes to do that. I mean, I think we have to make choices about the things that we pay attention to.
That's a good point.
And when we do those, things, I do think that it makes a big difference.
Can I add on to that, Sarah? That's such a great point. Is to choose what we pay attention to. That's such a great point, because oftentimes when I hear negative conversations, if I stay quiet long enough, people will self-correct.
Yeah.
They'll talk about a student and what they're looking for. It's like a phone that's looking for a Wi-Fi signal, looking for a connection. Right. And when I don't give it to them, they just basically say, you know what, but they're our kids. And then I come back, yeah, they are our kids. And there's some great things. Right. I share and celebrate what kids do.
Yeah.
Right. That's another way to do it. Yeah. But this choose what you pay attention to. So I teach one period every other day. But people know when I'm preparing because I'm so laser focused. And I think when you, as a teacher or an administrator or as a leader, when you model the focus and preparation that's necessary for the job, it lets other people know, this is what we should be doing. Yeah. We should be preparing our very best to make every kid one class period better. That's the goal.
I love that. One class period better.
That's it. That's all I want. Just one class period better.
Yep. And I love that because it also takes some of that pressure, I think, away from the frustration, or it takes some of the power away from the frustration, because you don't have to see to the end of the semester. When you're frustrated, right, you don't have to see to the end of the quarter, or you see one class period better. You see tomorrow.
That's it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There have been times in my career when I have given myself physical boundaries. Okay. So there have been times when I have said, that room right now, the conversations that happen in that room at this time of day, I'm not going to put myself in the way of. Right?
I like that. Okay.
So there have been times at different points in my career when I just know that toxicity is festering. And so I just don't go, right?
Yeah. Wow.
And it can be really hard, because if you are a person who's been going, right, to that particular lunch bunch, and then all of a sudden you're not going to go to that particular lunch bunch, you you go find another one. And it maybe feels awkward, but
Sure.
it's also really important because you are, you're taking some control over some of that.
I think, you know what? I love that that's an extension of your powerful point
Yeah.
to choose what you need to pay attention to. I almost would, for our conversation, in this part of our conversation, compare it to the cell phone looking for the Wi-Fi. And when you connect with negativity, the Wi-Fi is spotty. When you connect with the positivity, it's the strongest signal that you can get. So that's just something to think about. Like, we never think about, well, I'll say myself, I never think about how participating in something that might feel good might take away my productive energy later. And that's
Right.
something that we got to really continue to consider.
Absolutely. Absolutely.